All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there, and yours truly right here. Again in the news today, Neal Schon has been tweeting out articles and basically interviews where he is being asked questions about, his relationship with Steve Perry. And Neal has gone pretty much full court press, talking about how he'd like to do an R&B style album with Steve Perry. He's fine with the fact that Steve might not be able to climb the vocal octave ladder like he used to, and we pretty much can confirm that Steve probably can't sing the way he used to based on his performance several years back with the Eels. But I think at this stage, Neal has said, you know what, doesn't matter. I just want to work with Steve Perry. Now, for you fans of Perry, you've got to think to yourselves, an R&B style album really appeals to Steve's musical heritage. All right, this is what Steve Perry probably has always wanted to do, but, didn't fall in with the right crowd, so to speak, in his early days. And then he gets in with Journey, and he has to transform Journey from being this prog, jazz, rock, fusion jam band into a more, cohesive, more coherent, more accessible band to more people. Now, I'm of the belief that both versions of Journey are viable at this stage because there's so much history, but, the fans are going to see Journey in concert not to hear Of a Lifetime. They want to hear, Don't Stop Believin'. Now, I'm a little tired of that particular song. That's what makes sort of moving into the future here really intriguing with both Neal and Steve working together. Notice how none of the other guys in Journey have said, hey, I want to work with Steve Perry. It's only Neal Schon. That's why I continue to say that if you're going to get to Steve Perry, you're probably going to have to go through Neal Schon to get there. Now, some sources from, say, the last 6 months, and quite honestly, I don't know how reliable those people are at this point because some things have occurred since then which has thrown their credibility into question. But what they were telling me was that there is a real hardcore blockage. And I'll say this for Neal Schon because I know Neal watches my videos. Neal, if you want to get to Perry, I think one of the things that both you and Jon have to do is sit down, grab a couple of microphones, go up and say to folks, look, we messed up back in the day. 20 years ago, pretty much almost to the day now, a little longer than that, we decided to move on without Steve Perry. I don't think you're going to offend Steve Augeri or Jeff Scott Soto or Arnel Pineda by saying that maybe we should have given Steve more time to recuperate or to think about what he wanted to do next with his life, okay, in hindsight. Now, I'm not telling, these guys are big boys, they're selling out concerts, they've got Arnel as their vocalist, but all I can say is if you're going to make overtures to Steve, from what I understand, Steve is really still got a wall up about that whole incident that happened where the band moved on without him when he was planning to get his hip surgery. Now, I know this is old news in the sense that Journey fans know all about the hip, they know all about everything that occurred, and then they know what transpired after that. And some people left Journey permanently at that point. So you have to think to yourself that this, if you're going to go for this type of thing where you're going to try to appeal to Steve and say, hey Steve, I want to work with you. First thing you got to do, and believe me, Steve is watching, he's got people on the ground, he knows what's going on. If you go out there and say, we really screwed up and we'd like Steve to forgive us, I think that would go a long way at possibly brokering some kind of a deal where these guys can actually get together and perform music together. Now, the relationship between Schon and Kane, even though has been fine during this tour, I still think behind the scenes there are things that are still going on that we don't completely understand, and we'll find out a lot more after the tour. By the way, this tour is very successful that the band is on right now. And even though I said it could be over for good after this tour, one thing that might keep this tour rolling, into the future is this. The promoters are doing really well. Of course, you got two great bands together, both Journey and Def Leppard. You'd have to keep that magic going with Journey and someone else next summer. There is the likelihood that we could see a Journey summer tour in 2019. I'll keep you posted on that. For now, it's Dave. I'm the Real Music Observer. I'll be back again soon. See you then.